Water for Seeds presents Multiplication Made Easy and Understanding Word Problems, a guide for parents with founder and president Mia Durr. Welcome back, everyone. On today's agenda, we will be discussing what is multiplication, why is it important, and the properties of multiplication, which will be individual videos, so please do check back for those videos. Let's jump in. So what is multiplication? I found this definition on the Merriam-Webster website, so I wanted to share it and then I wanted to break down what it means. So multiplication is a mathematical operation that at its simplest is an abbreviated process of adding an integer to zero a specified number of times, and that is extended to other numbers in accordance with laws that are valid for integers. So what does all this mean? It means, in simple terms, taking a number and repeating it a set number of times or into groups to calculate the total for an intended purpose. If you're still confused at this point, let's proceed further so we can demonstrate what all of this means in real life terms. Okay, so let's start with the factors. In multiplication, the numbers are called factors in each operation. The first number is the multiplicand. Multiplicand tells us how many items are in a group. Can also be looked at as the quantity of the group you wish to multiply. The second number is the multiplier. The multiplier tells us how many times you want to repeat or group your items. The final answer is called the product. The product tells us the total quantity of items combined from all groups. Now it's really important to identify the multiplicand and the multiplier in terms of word problems because it will help you to set up the operation correctly based on the information provided in the word problem. So remember what I said earlier about taking a number and repeating it a set number of times or into groups to calculate the total for an intended purpose? Here's why. For this particular word problem, our multiplicand would be 10, our multiplier would be 5. So here we took the number 10 and multiplied it 5 times to calculate the total of 50. So our equation is going to be 10 times 5 equals 50. We're going to pretend we are throwing a pizza party for all of the 4th grade classes. So we'll need 10 pizzas for 5 different 4th grade classrooms. So on the right, we're going to pretend like those little circles are the pizzas, and the numbers 1 through 5 represent the 5 separate 4th grade classrooms. So what's our intended purpose? We want to ensure that we have enough pizza, 10 per class, for each of the 4th grade classrooms. To further demonstrate why it is important to identify the multiplicand and the multiplier in word problems, let's use this vanilla cake recipe word problem. So let's say you want to make 4 birthday cakes for 4 friends. You must first write down the ingredients to make 1 cake to figure out how much you'll need to make 4 cakes. To simplify this task, let's only focus on the eggs. We'll pretend we have enough of all the other ingredients. So if 1 cake requires 2 eggs, we need to multiply 2 eggs times 4 cakes. So 2 times 4 equals 8. So we know that we need 8 total eggs in order to make our 4 separate cakes for our friends. If you were to flip the multiplicand and the multiplier, if you were to say, oh, well, I know that 2 times 4 equals 8, so 4 times 2 equals 8, it would be incorrect in terms of this word problem because we don't need 4 eggs times 2 cakes. If you were to do that, you would make a cake that would be filled with holes like a sponge. It would be a very eggy cake. It probably would not taste very good. Although you would mathematically get the same product, the multiplicator and multiplier being flipped would not fulfill your intended purpose, which is to make 4 separate cakes. You do not need 4 eggs in 2 different cakes. You need 2 eggs for 4 separate cakes. So you always want to understand your intended purpose when you are solving word problems. You want to make sure that you are identifying that multiplicator and multiplier so that you are solving for your intended purpose. Okay, to further drive the point home, as if I haven't already, why is multiplication important? It's important because multiplication done wrong can cause disasters. Using the wrong multiplicand and multiplier could cause insufficient quantities, not having enough, overproduction, having too much, chemical reactions, baking disasters, and more. Now getting into the 5 multiplication properties that I really wanted to highlight in this video, starting with the associative property, commutative property, distributive property, identity property, and zero property. So I'm going to make 5 separate videos explaining how each of these 5 properties work. These are the properties that your children should familiarize themselves with in order to improve their overall multiplication skills. They will become faster and more efficient in their multiplication once they understand the properties and how they work. So to conclude, how can you make multiplication easy? By improving your multiplication skills every day with these tips. Number 1, learn to identify the multiplicand and the multiplier in word problems and other multiplication operations. Number 2, learn and practice the multiplication properties. Now this will be individual videos, so please watch the individual videos on the associative property, commutative property, distributive property, identity property, and zero property. Number 3, practice multiplication tables. So for multiples of 2, that will be the 2 times table. For multiples of 3, that will be the 3 times table. Up to 12 will be very beneficial in terms of improving our mental calculator. And this is what we want for our children. We want them to improve their mental calculator. If you have any questions regarding any of the content that was discussed today regarding multiplication, please do join the Patreon channel where I can answer questions on that end. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm your host, Mia Durr, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.